Hi everybody and welcome back to Noms. Today I am making dessert. I know.
From classics to children's books, you never know what she's gonna cook when Gretchen makes novel moms.
This is delicious and it's not baking, which scares me sometimes, and it's going to be perfect for your summer cookout, your celebration, your people over, or just Tuesday night, because really, you're worth it. Today we are going to make dessert tacos with grilled peaches, strawberry salsa, and mint, and it's going to marinate in this beautiful mojito marinade. Yum! This is something I literally woke up thinking about this one day. And I'm not saying I invented the dessert taco, but I think I'm a genius. What we first need to do is marinate our peaches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up these peaches, and I'm going to show you the proper way to cut a peach. It's very similar. Pretty much anything that has a pit, avocado, plum, apricots, mango, you can cut it this way. You want to cut it in, and it's got a pit, so it's not going to go into your hand, but be careful. And all you're going to do is you're going to work the peach in a circle. So you come all the way back around, and all you do is twist. There's the pit. Sometimes you may need a little extra help getting the pit out with like a little paring knife, but if you have trouble, you can also do the same thing in quarters, and then the pit's that much easier to get out. For a dessert like this, you want to make sure that it's got a little tiny bit of give to it, but it's not squishy, because you want it to be ripe and yummy, because that's when it's going to have its full sweetness. And I'm just going to cut this into thin wedges. Some people don't like the peach skin because it's got fuzz. You can take the fuzz off if you want. You probably end up needing about a half a peach per person. That probably will make about 2 tacos, but by all means, people might want the extra peaches. Go for it. I'm going to put my peaches in a bowl. So you know, like when you have anything that has citrus in it, like we're going to use lime juice, if you use orange juice, lemon juice, you don't really want to use a metal bowl because sometimes the metal will interact with the acid and the juice, and it will give this really weird flavor. So do use glass bowls whenever possible. I'm going to basically just cut about 4-ish limes. These are kind of small, and take my spoon, put it right into the middle, and I'm going to put the juice over the top of my peaches. The reason I'm using limes is I'm going to do this kind of in a mojito style. If you've never had a mojito, girl, it's a drink that I first discovered in Miami, poolside. It's delightful. And it's this beautifully refreshing drink that has lime, mint, sugar, and rum, and some like carbonated water. So that's essentially what we're going to use to marinate our beautiful peaches here. The next thing I want is agave syrup. Now, typically when someone has a drink, they usually use like a simple syrup, which is basically water and sugar, and they melt it and so that it's one smooth syrup. I'm going to get the same idea without having the refined white sugar, which isn't so good for you, and use some agave syrup, which is sweet and wonderful. I'm going to put just a little, I don't know, about 2 teaspoons in there, all about how sweet you want it. Might be good to put a little bit in there and then try it and see if it's too sweet. So that would be the second aspect of our drink. Oh, and sometimes peaches, when you cut them, they do tend to brown a little, kind of like apples do. So the lime juice will help to kind of keep them from turning that gross color. And we have some rum. If you don't like rum, leave it out. You could put like a little bit of sparkling soda or something in there to kind of help it marinate, but just leave it out. I don't really know if there would be a substitute for rum. If you know one, put it down below. I'm just taking 1 shot of rum, and I'm putting that down over that. Get it all stirred up, and it smells fantastic. And the last thing I'm going to add to this is some fresh mint. Fresh mint is one of those summer things that I love, that you can add a little to a smoothie, to even just some iced tea and blend it up with some ice or some strawberries and have this really refreshing treat. So I'm just going to do a little dice on my mint. And when you chop any kind of herbs, what happens is the oils get released. So it's going to bring out the flavor. You could just put the whole leaf in there if you don't want a whole lot of mint flavor. And then I'm just going to put that into my peaches. And if you were going to make this into a drink, you would actually take those mint leaves, put them in the bottom of your glass, and if you have something like a wooden spoon, you're going to actually grind those leaves with the sugar, that simple syrup, or with your agave syrup, because it's going to bring out the beautiful flavor of that mint. I'm not going to drink the peaches. I'm not going to drink the peaches. I'm not going to drink the peaches. That's marinating. I am going to get started on my salsa. Now, salsa is going to be very simple. I kind of want it to look like real salsa, so I chose some strawberries and some green apple, and I'm going to chop them up into just a basic little garnish that is going to be fruity and fresh and beautiful. And you could really use whatever fruits you like to go with peaches. I'm just going to dice up some strawberries. You could use raspberries, blackberries, mango. What I love about this dessert too is that it's something that I think kids and adults would like. If you were serving this to kids, now the alcohol will likely burn off, but if you were worried about serving it to kids, just leave the alcohol out or make them a batch that doesn't have any alcohol in it. I'm going to add to it 1 green apple, and if you're watching the show Master Cook or Master Chef or whatever it is, he shows you, Gordon Ramsay shows you how the proper way to cut an apple. So I'm going to show you the way he said you should cut an apple, and I actually used the paring knife because that's what he used, Mr. Ramsay. All right, so you're going to cut the top of the apple, cut the bottom of the apple, okay, so that you have a nice firm foundation of the apple. Then you're going to take your paring knife and you're going to peel without taking too much of the flesh. Now, he had them do this for like an hour and then kicked people out based on their ability to cut an apple. That's a little intense. I don't know how I would do on that show. Okay, then you're going to cut it. You're cutting it around that core. So you're going to cut, 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 cut. There's your core. And then he had them slice it so that they all had a uniform size. I don't know how I did there. I hope I did okay. I hope you would be proud. For me, like, one of the things I learned is that it's not about how fast you chop, like those people that can zip, 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 zip right through something. It's about how accurate you are. So if you have to take your time, there's no shame in that. Ain't no shame in your game. This is kind of mimicking the onion, like you'd see in a traditional salsa. It'll give you some nice texture. Texture is important, especially with desserts. So I am taking that and tossing it a little bit. And I'm going to put a little bit of mint in this as well. I'm going to take some of that agave syrup and I'm just going to put a little bit, maybe a teaspoon. It's going to help it come together, and it's going to start the berries and everything macerating. Macerate just means the berries kind of break down a little bit. And I do also want to put just a tiny squeeze of lime juice on there to keep the apples from turning brown. I'm going to add just a pinch of cinnamon, just like a teaspoon of vanilla. Here's my little trick for vanilla. I actually measure it with the cap, so I don't have to get, I know that my cap is a teaspoon, just because I've measured it a million times. Put some vanilla in there and mix it. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up my grill pan. Now I have this kind of heavy grill pan that I'm going to use on the stovetop. And the reason I'm going to do this instead of using it on my outdoor grill is because of the alcohol in there. I just don't want a chance flame ups, which is going to burn my fruit. So I'm going to get a nice sear with my indoor grill pan. So I just need to get that started heating up. I'm also going to start heating about a cup, maybe 3/4 of a cup of canola oil in a small pan. Now we're going to fry these tortillas for our dessert tacos. I just want to tell you, it's okay to fry things. Everything in moderation. Don't think you can't have something. And the great thing about that is, really, you have all this fresh fruit, a little tiny bit of alcohol, a little tiny bit of sugar, and then you're going to have this very lightly fried shell. So, not that bad in the grand scheme of things. Cheesecake is like 3 million times worse. And really good though. Now, when I can start to feel that heat coming up off my grill pan, I'm just going to take these peaches and I'm going to grill them up for a couple minutes on each side. I'm going to lay the peaches so they're across the little grill marks so that I kind of get them, they look pretty and have that charred look to them. It's okay if some of the mint stays on there. It's just going to give it some extra flavor. Caramelize the sugar. You're going to start to smell mojito coming up off that grill. It is fantastic. If you can't afford a grill pan, a nice substitute would be like a panini press or those George Foreman grills. If you have something like that, that will work. Just keep an eye on it because it is grilling it from top and bottom. It'll probably grill a whole lot faster. So you want to just keep a good watchful eye. And if that is also not something you can do, you could totally just saute these in a pan or put them in your oven and roast them a little bit. That would work too. Just put it on broil and wait till they're brown. So keep an eye on them, and you want to look, see when they have those beautiful char marks on there. That's when it's time to flip them over. You can kind of tell because you'll see like the edges will kind of get a little bit darker, showing that it's cooking a little. They're going to get just soft enough with a little bit of crispy on them. Now this in itself would be an amazing dessert over some vanilla ice cream. Just some fresh homemade whipped cream would be delicious. On the side of your steak or your dinner as like an extra little garnish, that's just delicious and amazing. Alright, so I'm going to let those cool down just a little bit. So, you'll start to see the bubbles coming up in your oil. Alright, so I'm going to drop it in there for about 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And then I want what was on the bottom, the inside, so I'm going to turn it and fold it like a taco. I'm going to hold it there for about another few seconds. Get it as brown as you want. Just keep in mind that as brown as it gets, it's going to be that much more crispy and that much harder to put all your filling in. So once it just starts to get brown, we're going to take it out. We're going to take some brown sugar, and because this is kind of packed, I'm just going to rub it between my fingers. Get some on there, dust it on there. Just take some and kind of rub it around, give it a nice little light dusting of the brown sugar. Just a little sprinkling of some ground cinnamon. You could use nutmeg or allspice or whatever else you like. It's kind of like a little fried dough. Who doesn't love fried dough? Geesh. Okay, now we're ready to build our taco. Now we're going to put all this beautiful stuff that we just made into the taco. But one more factor you want to think about is the creaminess, because you got the beautifuls. You got tart, you've got sweet, we've got crunchy, we've got hot, warm, cold, all of it. But we also want like a creamy texture. Now you could use some yogurt, some vanilla yogurt would be fine. You could use some sour cream, I've heard people use. I'm going to use some queso fresco, which is a very mild Mexican cheese. But you don't have to do that, but I'm good, because I think it'll be delicious. But it has like a crumbly texture to it. So it's going to crumble, and it's going to be so beautiful on top of our tacos. And it has a flavor of kind of like a mild mozzarella cheese. So it's very, kind of in the background, but it's got this beautiful creamy texture to it. Okay, so you're going to take your taco. I'm going to put in a couple of those grilled peaches on the bottom. I'm going to put in some of that salsa we made. Pretty, pretty. And I'm going to take some of that queso fresco and sprinkle it on top. Look at that. And to make it just a little bit prettier, you could even just put a little piece of some pieces of mint on top. And there you have this beautiful taco that's got sugar, grilled fruit, lots of fresh fruit, a little bit of rum, a little bit of lime. Let's give it a shot. And like I said, it's like the perfect dessert because it's got all that fresh fruit, but it's also got the fried shell. It's like summer in a taco, a sugary cinnamon taco. Ooh, you could play around with this. You could put it flat and put some ice cream on it and put the fruit on top of that. You could really play around with what you put inside of it. You could use bananas, coconut. Let your imagination go wild. I'm going to finish my dessert taco. I'm going to see you next time on Novel Noms.
From classics to children's books, you never know what she's gonna cook when Gretchen makes novel moms.